8 hours into the NBA's free agency, and the most coveted free agent this summer, Kevin Durant, taking meetings with the Warriors and Clippers on Friday, then the Spurs and Celtics on Saturday, and the Miami Heat on Sunday. All of these meetings held in the Hamptons, and his current team, the OKC Thunder, hoping to secure that final meeting on Sunday afternoon as well. We welcome in now the former Warriors GM and the Executive VP of Basketball Operations, Larry Riley. Thank you so much for taking the time on this early morning to help us break things down. If you're coming from a front office perspective in any one of these major franchises, how do you pitch Kevin Durant?
Well, the biggest thing is Kevin Durant has been around the league so much that he knows the cities and he knows the arenas and so forth. So the next thing you do is go right to your organization and you look at the organization from top to bottom. Your coaching staff is important. The fact of what your roster is or what it can become is also important. And, of course, the third thing is the money. But in this situation, the money is pretty much locked in as to what it's going to be. Same way with a length of contract in regards to what may be best. So it is an opportunity to get to those three issues, but also to get personal. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do.
Larry, Steve Smith, my question is along that lines. When you have guys, it's all top free agents, talk to me about the mindset if, say, for the Miami Heat, you're trying to go after Kevin Durant, but you have to have Whiteside to be able to obviously retain your own player. What's your mindset as a front office? Where do you guys go first? And, when 12:01, what's the process to be ready and hit the ball rolling?
Well, you have quite a few meetings, of course, along the way to set things up and have it go off as smoothly as you possibly can. And like you've already said, in the case of the Miami Heat, it's not definite yet, but there's been an announcement. They've already secured their center, which is an important pitch that you're going to make to the next free agent. And when you can do that, it's quite helpful. Sometimes you're trying to acquire two free agents, and you've got to get one of them to go first. And in a situation where you have both of them and you're trying to get them to move, you try to get somebody to make a commitment early so that you can get the second domino to fall. Now, along with this, Steve, as you know, there are times during the year, and I'm talking about the previous year, that there have been hints dropped and maybe some things said to agents, and there are very few surprises that come up. Everybody pretty much knows what the teams are thinking, and the question is, okay, what is the player thinking and what is in his best interest? And I tell you, Steve, one of the things that is important is that you become a good listener. When you're in a situation where you're interviewing a player or discussing things with a player, at this stage, you listen for everything that you can possibly find out, because there might be something that would put you over the top. And if there's something that could be accomplished that puts you over the top, that's important. You can't change the roster very much. You can't change the contract itself, but there might be something coming out of the conversation that you would say, hey, here's something we can address that gives us a little bit of a nudge in the right direction.
Larry, you played a pivotal role in this Warriors team as currently constructed. The emphasis placed on signing a superstar like KD, is it more about the fit that he would make on this roster or potentially just eliminating a Western Conference contender into Thunder? What is it that they're pitching him?
You always look at your own team first, and if you got a chance to deal a blow to somebody else, it's a good thing. But it's more about getting your own team in a better position and getting a little bit stronger. And I think that as you look at things, I don't see as much negativity. Steve, if you go back to college recruiting, I don't know what it was like when you were recruited, but some colleges, for example, would come after you and they would downgrade the other colleges, other universities, and there was some negativity. I think there's probably very little of that from what I'm aware of in the NBA. Now, there can be some of it, but it's more get to the positive side of things, present the best case that you can present, and of course you also have your own players who can often affect what's going to take place. And if those players are positive and you've got a good roster, it obviously increases your chances.
Larry, thanks so much for waking up and taking the time. We appreciate you.
Not a problem at all. I wish you guys the best.
That's Larry Riley, the former Warriors GM, also their executive VP of basketball operations. Let's move now from the Warriors to the Clippers. They have also made it very obvious that it is important to sign a guy like KD, especially with their summer next summer. You've got Chris Paul, a free agent. You've got Blake Griffin, a free agent. What do you think their pitch is to Kevin?
Well, I think is for them is obviously they got to talk about the now in this season coming in, and then whether you have a Kevin Durant maybe signing a one-year deal with the Clippers and saying, hey, we're all in next year. But then also for a guy like Kevin Durant, he wants to know the future. So he has to have guys like Doc Rivers in the organization say what they're going to do if you can't retain those free agents. And those are huge free agents that you talked about in Chris Paul and other guys. So I think for him is, as a player like Kevin Durant, next I hear everything pitch from the organization, but I must hear from the guys that I think can get me over the hump to win a championship. Are they planning on signing back? And how is anything will change if I sign? So I think the pitch is really Chris Paul and those guys who are free agents. Blake Griffin, I think you said, can they come in and pitch to Kevin Durant and have him believing that they're staying, they're not going anywhere?
Well, and we've seen reports that KD is 90% in back at OKC. Do you think that this is more so about making the rounds and potentially an audition for these teams for next summer?
Oh, it definitely could. But I think also for him is, in my opinion, it all comes down to what Russell Westbrook is telling Kevin Durant what he's going to do next year. If Russell's all in right now and he feels that and the organization feels that, I think then that number, like you said, 90% goes up to like 99%. But if there's anything where he doesn't think Russell Westbrook is going to be there, then now you have a team where, yes, he still could stay with OKC. But I think for Kevin Durant, the money is going to be the max, no matter where he goes. It's for him right now to be in the best situation for the next 4 or 5 years and have a chance to win a championship year in and year out.
The Thunder have made some moves, adding Victor Oladipo as well. But after the break,